Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park with unique personal insight based on our own experience. And today we're talking about a hike in the Many Glacier area, the northeast part of the park. The hike is Ptarmigan Tunnel, and we'll talk a lot about why that is the name of this hike, and it's really neat. Also something super cool as your destination, as you work so hard, and then you eventually get to the tunnel and or beyond the tunnel. But Ptarmigan Tunnel in Glacier, Many Glacier area.
Yeah, the trailhead, it starts at the Swift Current Motor Inn. So as you enter the Many Glacier Valley there, you don't want to take a left towards the lodge. You want to keep going straight, and the road does dead end. There's a motor inn back there. There's a campground. There's a few other things around there, but just park anywhere near the motor inn and look for the Iceberg Lake trailhead, because it's actually the same trailhead. And you eventually branch off towards Ptarmigan Tunnel shortly after Ptarmigan Falls, and it rises a little bit. What do we got, stat man?
It's about a 10-mile round trip and a total elevation gain of 2,500 feet. So you'll encounter that, somewhere along the way. This is kind of that 2-to-1 ratio. We talked about the 1-to-1 where it's a mile per 1,000 feet, and that is about as much as you want to take on in terms of just a hike in Glacier. So this is, we'll call it half of that, 2,500 feet over 5 miles. So definitely doable, but yeah, it starts to rise.
I would say it's a moderately strenuous hike.
Sure.
Especially after you branch off going towards Ptarmigan Tunnel. I feel like it really starts to climb there.
It does. Yeah, you get some ridge, up and over ridges.
Yeah, so you have a few places to filter water on this hike. So obviously Ptarmigan Falls, which actually is a really nice place so you're still on the Iceberg Lake Trail. It's a great place and a common place to kind of cool off if it's warm, filter water, have a little picnic. And then you kind of branch off towards Ptarmigan Tunnel, and you will encounter Ptarmigan Lake. And we actually encountered a lot of huckleberries the last time we did this trail as well. So if you go at the right time of year, mid to late summer, you will encounter some huckleberries. So that's kind of cool. Ptarmigan Tunnel the tunnel itself is seasonally open. So they have doors that are opened at a certain time and they close, due to snow on both ends. So make sure you plan accordingly if you want to actually go through the tunnel, which is really, really cool. So if you go too early, and they usually give you alerts, you can talk to the Park Service about that, ranger at the gate, they can tell you if it's open or not. Yeah,
it's a really neat feature, and what we're talking about is they blew, a tunnel through the rock as kind of a way to a passage through from one area to the other. And so it's kind of cool. You kind of wonder what it's all about. And when you get up there, you'll figure it out. But it's positioned in a great place, kind of connecting to major and very interesting parts of Glacier.
The tunnel, it helps you through the Ptarmigan Wall, which is really, really steep. So it was originally blasted out, and we can go into that in a little more detail to kind of help pack horses through to go from probably Waterton area, because you're really close to the border in Many Glacier, to kind of go from Waterton, the Belly River, and then over to Many Glacier. So to kind of connect the two valleys and bring supplies and stuff. But it's a man-made tunnel, obviously, and it's about 240 feet long. And
Is it really?
Yes.
Boy, I feel when you work 5 miles to get there, it doesn't feel or I don't remember it being that long, but that's a little ways.
Yeah. And they did a really good job, engineering this, for water drainage and stuff. But it's kind of cool in there too when you go in the summer and it's hot. So it's kind of a nice place. But it's 240 feet long, and it was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and it was back in 1930. And they went at it from both ends. So coming up from the Belly River, they had to blast out the wall there and make stairs, the hiking trail coming up. And it was very, very steep, and it was very, very difficult. But it took about 3 months for them to do that. They used jackhammers, they used dynamite to blast through that wall, and it was hard. The doors were actually added in 1975. And like I said, they're kind of seasonally opened. Usually open in July, I would say, but it's obviously very, very snow dependent. And around late September, they probably and that's obviously snow dependent, but it's usually closed by late September.
Yeah, always be aware in Glacier of, seasonality and what you can and can't access. And this is a neat place for sure. You know, it was also called Castle Mountain or Pinnacle Wall or Amphitheater Wall at some point. And it definitely feels that way as you're hiking up through it. And you mentioned, you know, the ptarmigan. Let's be clear. You know, we're communicating this in audio format, but ptarmigan has a silent P on the front. You know, it's of Scottish origin, a PT starting the word. And I would say, why don't you turn the telly off and take a hike? Is that what we're suggesting?
Yeah, so the ptarmigan, what a cool little bird. It's in the grouse family. I still struggle sometimes when we're hiking. I'm like, what is that? Because we have a lot of different species of grouse in the park. And the ptarmigan, they look very similar, but there's definitely some distinctive differences to these two species. So if you're at an alpine level and you see one of these birds, it's going to be a ptarmigan because it's specifically we have the white-tailed ptarmigan. It's the only bird in the park that spends its entire life in the alpine zone. It might drop down into the subalpine zone a little bit, but it spends a lot of time up there, and it's going after, so it's going after vegetation, maybe some small insects. You know, we do see grasshoppers or the Mormon crickets up there in the katydid family. So they've got plenty you'd think that there's not a lot up there, but there is, and they make it work out. But they are smaller than the grouse. So we have the spruce grouse, the roughneck grouse. So it's smaller, and in the winter they have the white plumage. And, you know, in the summer, most of that goes away. They might have some white speckles, but it's the brownish gray. And they do have the feathers on their feet. So I like to look for that right away. You know, do they have the feathers on the feet? Okay, it's a ptarmigan. So that's kind of interesting.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever gotten that close, although they do surprise you, you know. But Sarah and I were talking about this, how you're out hiking, you're totally bear aware, your senses are heightened. And then one of these little birds like just pops out of the side, you know, area of the trail and really freaks you out. But it's just a little guy. He's kind of embarrassing, right? It's a little ptarmigan. But you mentioned it. They really adapt to their environment, you know, and they're fully white in the winter.
Yeah, and even though that they're up at this alpine level, because of their coloring, they blend in perfectly with the rocks that are around them. And we've been on many summits of mountains and come across these guys, and we didn't realize they were there. And we're just in, you know, talus and scree, and all of a sudden we see movement, and there they are.
They fit right in, or you hear that interesting chattering noise, which is usually an adult with, you know, young ptarmigan, and they're just protecting their area and protecting their young.
Yeah, so let's get back to the hike. So Ptarmigan Lake, you get to Ptarmigan Lake. There's definitely some elevation pushing up to that lake, but once you get there, it's kind of a really beautiful spot to hang out and regroup, eat your lunch before you tackle going up to the tunnel, which you can see from the lake. So that's kind of cool. I think there's maybe 2 switchbacks.
Just a couple.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're
totally
forever.
Doable.
It looks like some Lord of the Rings, you know, trudge up the side of the cirque. Yeah, you could see little tiny people from the lake heading up.
I love all the geology in the cirque here. So the red rock, you have a lot of that Grinnell formation. It's just sedimentary rock from the belt supergroup, and it's super red, you know, being oxidized. There used to be a glacier at this lake, but it disappeared in 1940, and this would be considered a cirque lake, which just means it was carved out by a glacier, and it kind of left this bowl-shaped depression here. So it's kind of cool to, you know, you see a little bit of snow left over from, you know, the winter time, and you can kind of tell it collects where that glacier used to be. Oh yeah, I love being in a glacier cirque. It's just like a big, you know, surrounds you, and you just have this feeling of being a small element in this huge landscape. And often there's a nice lake at the base of it to jump into. But Ptarmigan Tunnel is a terrific hike. We're taking a short break here. Stick with us. We've got another segment coming right up.
Whether you're hiking Avalanche Lake or conquering Mount Sa'i, you want to be prepared. Same goes for your money. Freedom Bank delivers peak performance banking with mobile tools, expert advice, and a personal touch. Freedom Bank is proud sponsor of Hiking Fools because adventures are better when your bank is as ready as you are. Freedom Bank, we want to be your bank. Give us a call at 892-1776. Member FDIC.
All right, welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools and have been discussing today the Ptarmigan Tunnel hike over in the Many Glacier area. And Sarah was mentioning that, the Ptarmigan Tunnel is a terrific feature, and it's just so neat to see because it's blown through the rock. And it was just, it's heading northwest toward the Belly River area, and it was a shortcut to get to that area. So it really connects to very interesting parts of the park. But the Ptarmigan Lake itself, you reach that first, and it's a pretty neat destination on its own.
Yeah, it's 4.3 miles to Ptarmigan Lake from the trailhead, and the lake sits at about 6,625 feet. And it's a great place for fishing, is what we hear. I've never fished in there, but we've been there a few times where people have been fishing. It's hook and line only, so don't bring your bait. They do have some regulations, so make sure if you do plan on fishing at this lake that you check ahead of time and just make sure that they haven't changed any sort of regulations. But as of right now, you don't even need a license to fish in the park, so that's kind of cool. But the lake itself is known for brook and rainbow trout, so that's kind of cool.
The prettiest of the fish.
Yeah, we've also seen swimmers in this lake. It's a great place to cool off before you tackle the intimidating switchbacks going up to the tunnel, which aren't terrible, I must say. They're exposed and it's warm. Take your time, because the higher you get and you look back on where you came from in that Ptarmigan drainage, it's so beautiful. I mean, just the Many Glacier Valley is just one of my favorite places to be.
Yeah, we've seen plenty. Take off your shoes and socks and dip your feet in before you head up. But you can see where you're going, and it's always kind of a you feel two ways about it. Number one, boy, I have to go straight up that, sheer face, or you can also, it's intimidating, or you can say, I see my trail. I see what I'm about to set out on, and I can conquer that. But it's fun to sit at the lake and kind of watch people shuffle up like dwarves, in Lord of the Rings, heading up one by one. And there's some people coming down. I tell you what, the people coming down have that relief on their face and a big smile.
They've just conquered the tunnel. Yeah. From the lake itself, it's about 1,900 feet elevation gain. But take your time, like I said, and enjoy those amazing views surrounding the lake. And there's a great chance of wildlife. So you're getting out of the forest level and you're kind of getting up into subalpine level here. So bighorn sheep is a common animal to see in this area. Mountain goats, we've seen bear. So, make sure you are very bear aware, because the beginning of your trail, that Iceberg Lake Trail, it's often closed because of bears. So another thing too is to check ahead of time and make sure that your trail's open before you set out. There's a few alternatives in this valley as well, but be very bear aware when you're on this trail, as all trails in Glacier National Park.
Sign everywhere. Yes, scat right on the trail. The bears like the trail as well. An easy route for them. And as we're talking about this hike, as you're heading your way up, you're finally there. The views through the tunnel, and we're talking about coming from Many Glacier, looking in to the Belly River drainage, are just incredible. I mean, you can see Mount Merritt, one of the 10,000 foot peaks in Glacier, one of 6 of them. You can see that with Old Sun Glacier still on this side of it. You look down the other direction and you see beautiful Elizabeth Lake and down further into that area. And it was neat this past year. We were backpacking and camping at the foot of Elizabeth Lake, looking up at the tunnel, trying to identify exactly where it was. And it's just amazing, the view when you come at something from a different direction. One of our favorite things about Glacier, you just get this new perspective, and you see things from the other side, and you wonder what's through that. And you've got views as you're heading up. You've got views heading down into the next valley, and then once you're there, you can look back and see from where you've come, and just the whole thing is an unbelievable view through the tunnel as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Belly River, so that's a really, really popular trailhead for backpackers, but you can climb up to the tunnel in a day hike if you want to. It's a little less popular. It's strenuous as well, but it's about 5.2 miles to the tunnel from the Belly River trailhead. And I'll tell you what, you talk about being up at the tunnel. So once you get up there and you're coming from the Many Glacier Valley, it's pretty narrow right outside those doors, but those big iron doors. It just reminds you of something out of the, Lord of the Rings movie or something.
Apparently, this is very much like that. I think we've mentioned that 3 different times, that this is like a movie.
It really is. And you go through and you come out the other side and you look down at the Belly River, and it's very wide through there. But it does drop down. So make sure you stay on, this side of the wall and don't step over for a better picture, because it's super dangerous. It drops down very steeply.
You're right. So be careful. Who else likes this area are the marmots, the hoary marmots.
Oh,
they're
yes, I forgot about the marmots.
You've got Elizabeth Lake in the distance, and they just come right up on I think every time we've been there, they come right up on the wall, and they always show their best side, and they sort of shuffle, and you wait, they say, until it's almost as if they're saying, let me get my good side.
Oh, they pose for you.
Oh, yeah. But it's a terrific photo, and especially if you're visiting, the type of wildlife that is in Glacier National Park is unique to, other areas, other parts of the country. But don't go too late or too early on this hike, because, again, the tunnel doors might be closed. So just pay attention to what season you're in, and whether you're going to get the full experience.
Because of the steepness of this trail, hiking poles are kind of recommended to kind of help out your legs and your knees. And, once you get to the lake, hang out for a little while, rest those legs, and push up, because the tunnel's 0.9 miles from the lake.
Okay. Doable. Absolutely doable. Have a little snack. I think we've talked about it before. I'm the carb man, and Sarah likes the protein. Whether you're out hiking, if you've never been out before, you're out there for hours, and you're going to need something. And, you want to make sure you have something that will sustain you. And so the best thing to do, even just like running or racing, is to test it out beforehand. If you're going to go on a little hike, make sure you have what works for you, both nutrition and hydration. It's important. It's vital to having a great experience.
Yeah, what we usually do is pack a sandwich, and that's kind of our main sustenance, I guess, when we get to, the top of a mountain, or we get to the tunnel, or wherever it may be, before we turn around, we have a sandwich. But we burn through food pretty quickly. So it's not just a sandwich. We always have snacks, chips. Yeah. A salty snack is great. A meat stick for protein. Josh, you love your granola bars.
A bar. I can live on bars. But the thing is, you're always, give yourself a reward, right? You're heading up this hike. There's usually a destination, and it's usually the highest point on your hike. Give yourself something to look forward to. And then, of course, the moment you turn around and head back down, you can start talking about the cheeseburger and the pizza.
Oh, you always you have your own little cravings, chips and salsa for me.
The group starts talking. What are we going to have when we get down? And finish, and that's okay, because hey, you need some motivation sometime.
And actually, the Swift Current Motor Inn is a great place to get some food when you finish, right there at the trailhead. You also have the Many Glacier Hotel; they have the dining room there. But Swift Current Motor Inn, I think it's great. You can go up and order, take a number, find a seat. They have some benches outside on the front there you can eat. So that's a great place to get food when you finish, actually.
Don't forget home base. Many Glacier Campground is one of our favorite places to stay. And if you stay right there, you're near all of these trailheads. And so it's a good home base to venture out and come back and, have a fire and enjoy kind of, revel in the adventure of the day. But look into camping there too, because then you can hit a couple of these great trails all at once.
Yeah, and oftentimes when you exit the trail in the evening, you can look up behind Swift Current Motor Inn. You have a lot of people that will set up their spotting scopes and spot, bighorn sheep, specifically grizzly bears. Grizzly bears love the back of this, or the mountain here behind Swift Current Motor Inn. But the Many Glacier Valley itself is known for bears, and especially, as you drive along Lake Sherburne and enter right by the lodge there. But when we have family visiting from out of state and they want to see a bear, oftentimes we take them to Many Glacier Valley. They're just in abundance here.
They are. So be careful. We've got some other episodes out there, or will have, with some bear specialists to talk about bear safety. But yeah, you can see, seriously, grizzly bears as you're driving there along Sherburne Lake. as you get to this area by Swift Current Motorin, and of course on the trail. And we've seen them all of those places. So be prepared, be ready for anything. But the Ptarmigan Tunnel hike is just amazing. 10 miles round trip, just to remind you, 2,500 feet of elevation gain. You'll find yourself at a beautiful lake in a glacial cirque and a couple of switchbacks up to the tunnel itself with some amazing views. But we hope you can check out our Instagram page at Hiking Fools MT to see some great photos from this and other hikes. And please tune in next time. Check out more episodes online and remember to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go.